Out here today checking up on one of my big 2.5 acre brassica plots. And this is like the first brassica plot I planted way back in early to mid-July. And you hear stuff online, people talking about you got to plant brassicas in August, mid-August. You don't want to, you don't want brassicas to get knee-high. They're going to get too stemmy, too mature. The deer aren't going to eat them. Well, this is the proof right here that you should plant early, and the more tonnage you grow, the better, because then the more food you're going to have going into the fall. So here we are. You can see it's pretty thin, and the brassicas are really big, especially out there where they haven't been eaten on as much. But like right up here where they come out, I mean, look at this, is all forage, rape, and kale, and it's just hammered. Right here's a tillage radish that's been pulled out, nipped on. And they're even eating on some of the purple top turnips already. And this is a property I don't have permission to hunt on, but I got permission to shed hunt here. And there's no other brassicas around that I know of. And there's no alfalfa around. So this is like the only greens food source. And they're even nipping on purple top turnip greens. I mean, look at that. I hardly ever see over at my grandparents' farm purple top turnips, the leaves being eaten. I mean, usually they'll eat the forage, rape, and kale leaves, but these leaves usually aren't as attractive to the deer, usually over there. But you can see here, I mean, there's leaves missing everywhere. Look at how munched on it is in here in the front. I'm like right at the corner of the field where they come in at. And I'll even take you out to this bigger stuff out here. I mean, right here's some knee-high plants. A lot of the tops all nipped on already. See, knee-high. And I mean, look at the size of these leaves. Now, obviously, they're not going to eat this until maybe later in the winter, but you can see they're nipping off. Like, that is all gone. That would all get eaten. This would all get eaten. They're just eating the tops of the leaves and leaving the stem here, which is fine. I mean, look at how big this plant is. Here's a huge purple top turnip. So I think this proves a lot of people wrong. I think you should plant earlier, maybe not this early. The only reason why I planted this plot literally almost early July is because I had so many other plots to get in only a certain amount of time, and like I said, this plot was a little bit thinner than it should have been. And look at how big some of these brassicas are. I mean, this is one plant right here. The thing is, like, turned into like 4 or 5 plants branching off from the main stem right here. Pretty incredible. Now you get out in the middle here, there's obviously less browse. I did see a purple top turnip in here somewhere that was almost, yeah, right here. I mean, I don't see damage on the turnips like that until like the winter time usually. And there's a lot of there was a lot of tillage radish in here until the deer they've almost consumed all the tillage radish. I was in here a couple times in the summer and in September, and they were really hitting the tillage radish. They weren't starting to hit the forage rape quite as much. I mean, look at right here. There's a giant tillage radish right here. Every single leaf is gone. So they like these earlier in the year. And I mean, they'll eat them if they're still here now, but this is their preference of the brassica and turnip species. I mean, look at the size of that thing. So when you plant, earlier, you're going to get more tonnage from these plants. I mean, look at the size. I wish I had my tripod out here so I could stand out here and get a better video. But I mean, this stuff is all knee high, and in some areas almost waist high. Some of those brassicas. I mean, some of these are going out to seed. They're not going to eat that. And the turnips in here are just massive. I mean, look at that. There's my foot. I mean, that thing is darn close to a volleyball in diameter right here. But that is incredible. It probably does help that this is the first year I've ever had anything planted on this ground. So there's plenty of nutrients in the soil here, but man, you get the spacing, you get these plants spaced out, they get absolutely huge. I'll take you over to the other side here in just a little bit and show you some over there too, on that side of the road where they're starting to come, where they come into the field over there. But you can see out here where all this grass is and all these gaps. It was way too thin on the Brassica, but it produced some huge plants out here. And you can see all the tillage radish just completely decimated. And having a couple thin spots like this really isn't a bad thing, because they really like to walk through these areas. So if you had like a stand and you wanted to kind of funnel them through an area, you could kind of skip and leave like a little dirt trail. You know, this would be perfect if you're hunting on this side here. They would be walking right through here, but this being so close to the road, they're probably not in here much during daylight, but unbelievable. I'm standing up right now. You can see this stuff. It's right about at my waist. This is one giant plant right here. He branched off into like 3 or 4 plants because he had, like I said, it's pretty thin here. There's room for these things to grow. All right, so here we are on the other side of the road, right up to where they come out. There's another purple top turnip, almost completely gone. Now these brassicas up here are a little bit shorter. This ground was pretty sandy, a little bit drier up on this end. You can see these things are still getting hit hard. Even this purple top turnip, the leaves have been nipped off. Looks like a while ago now, but here's a tillage radish completely gone. Another radish munched into. These ones are busted off. Just deer tracks everywhere in here. I mean, look at how big this sucker is. I mean, this is like, you can see it's a little bit thicker than my finger, and every single leaf is almost gone on it. I mean, that's pretty woody and pretty stemmy. I mean, they're obviously not going to eat this. Maybe in the wintertime, they'll munch this down to maybe about here, but usually there's a lot of stems like from my hand down sticking up through the snow that they don't eat. It's just too stemmy, but there's something they pulled out. These brassicas over here, like I said, aren't quite as tall until you get down towards the middle of the field, where it's a little bit wetter. But look at this. That's one plant again turned into multiple plants, and the leaves are all nipped on. I mean, that's some pretty big brassica plant there, and it's all nipped on pretty good. I mean, you look in here, I mean, there's lots of browse. So I would definitely don't wait, at least if you're in the Midwest, southern Wisconsin, Iowa, Illinois, you know, not too far north. I wouldn't wait till middle of August like they recommend, because you're not going to get this kind of volume. I mean, look at the tonnage I have here. They haven't even gotten into a lot of this stuff. It's just unbelievable the amount of tonnage in this field. You see the size of some of these kale plants? I mean, look at right here. That's one plant. I can't really get down in here, but you can see the stem on that thing? It's like an inch, almost 1.5 inches in diameter. You got all these other stems coming off. If this was a later planted brassica field, you would not have all these extra leaves. I mean, look at how many leaves there is here for the deer to consume. Just a crazy amount. I mean, this looks like a different variety than this taller one. This taller one grows up more. Whatever this one was, it really branches out. Here's another one of them. Oh my God, look at that. You see the center stem right in here, the center trunk? And then all these are all off the same plant. That's one seed in there, like the size of a clover seed. So when you give these plants space to grow, I mean, plant a seed there. For some reason, it was a thin spot here. I think this is, you can see like a line right here. There's another line over there where they're thin. I probably walked right in between here and was spreading right here. And then I walked over here and didn't get as much seed here, which was good. The deer are walking through here. And you look over here where it's a little bit thicker. This is probably about perfect in between these thin spots. But then again, if the whole field was like this, you wouldn't have all these little deer runways through here. They're really walking through on these thin spots. So it's good to have some thin spots in your plots. Because you see over here, it's so thick, it's about perfect, where it's about knee to waist high. No sunlight getting down to the ground. but the deer would not want to walk through there that much. I mean, that's unbelievable growth right there. I mean, right here we got probably the biggest tillage radish I've seen in this plot. This is in a little bit thicker spot. The deer aren't walking through as much, but the brassicas are all really tall here. I mean, that thing is at least 14 to 16 inches sticking out of the ground. And look at the diameter, man. That diameter is probably like 4 to 5 inches. A lot of the top's nipped off, but man, that is huge. And you got huge turnips in here. This one's the size of a softball. You got huge kale plants in here sticking up. Well, that one is one of the varieties that goes out to seed. They're not going to eat on this too much other than these leaves right here. But like, here's a nice one, all branched out, knee-high, full of big leaves. Incredible. I'm still going to shoot for probably around late July as my planting time. The latest I would want to plant would probably be around that early August 10th. That would be the latest I'd want to plant. Once you get past August 15th, you get closer to August 20th. I mean, they don't get nearly the size on them. So yeah, thanks for watching this short little video. Probably ain't that short anymore, but yeah, I'll have a few more videos coming out this fall of maybe some food plot stuff, and I'll have the winter updates of this plot and many other plots this winter. So yeah, see you then.